Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. Today we're going to be doing a short presentation on the history of cannabis hemp, and then we're going to follow that with a groovy tune that I wrote the lyrics to and the illusions of music perform called Whispers of Hope here at Time for Hemp. Let's take a few moments to embark on a journey through time and explore the remarkable history of cannabis hemp, a plant that has literally built civilizations. From the first Neolithic textiles to the sails of the great explorers, hemp's story is one of utility, controversy, and a powerful modern revival. Our story begins over 10,000 years ago in Central Asia and China, where hemp was one of the first plants ever domesticated for its incredible fiber. Archaeological finds from the Neolithic period reveal pottery decorated with cord marks made from durable hemp string. Ancient cultures didn't just use it for rope. Hemp seeds were a vital source of protein, and its oil was a cornerstone of early herbal medicine. The Chinese character Ma represents two plants drying under a roof, symbolizing its early and central role in their daily lives. As civilization spread, so did hemp. The ancient Egyptians used it to move the massive stones of their monuments and wove them into fine linens. The Greek historian Herodotus described how the nomadic Scythians used hemp seeds in ritual steam baths as early as 500 BCE. Through the Silk Road, hemp traveled into the Middle East and eventually into Europe, becoming an essential agricultural staple for every rising power. By the Middle Ages, hemp was cultivated across Europe. It provided the clothing, bed sheets, and curtains for the common people. The durability of its fiber made it the gold standard for everything from fishing nets to heavy-duty grain sacks. But hemp's greatest historical impact was at sea. During the Age of Exploration, hemp was a strategic military resource for the world's navies. A single large ship could require over 60 tons of hemp for its sails and miles of heavy rigging to withstand ocean storms. Hemp also carried the knowledge of the world. The first Gutenberg Bible and the earliest drafts of great literature were printed on durable hemp paper. The very word canvas is derived from cannabis. The masterpieces of the Renaissance were painted on hemp fabric that could last for centuries. Until the late 19th century, most of the world's books, maps, and newspapers were made from this resilient plant rather than wood pulp. When European settlers arrived in North America, they brought hemp with them, knowing it would be vital for their survival in the New World. In the 1600s, laws in Virginia and Massachusetts actually mandated that farmers grow hemp to support the naval power of the British Empire. In fact, hemp was so valuable that it could be used to pay taxes and was considered legal tender in many parts of colonial America. The American founding fathers were not just political leaders. They were innovative farmers who championed hemp. Washington famously wrote in his diaries about his efforts to cultivate better varieties of hemp at Mount Vernon. And while the final Declaration of Independence is on parchment, its early drafts were penned on sturdy hemp paper. By the 1800s, Kentucky had become the center of American hemp production, supplying the nation's westward expansion. Hemp covered the wagons that moved pioneers west and provided the rope that secured their belongings. But as the Industrial Revolution progressed, the rise of steam-powered ships and the cotton gin began to change hemp's dominance. Cotton was easier to process with new technology, making it a fierce competitor for the textile market. In the early 20th century, hemp was on the verge of a technological comeback. New machines promised to automate its harvest. The decorticator machine could strip the fiber from the stalks with ease, potentially replacing wood pulp for paper. Popular Mechanics magazine hailed hemp as the new billion-dollar crop, capable of creating thousands of new products. But this potential threatened established monopolies in the timber, oil, and synthetic fiber industries. A campaign of misinformation began, intentionally confusing industrial hemp with its psychoactive cousin, marijuana. Fueled by sensationalist media, public fear grew, leading to the path of prohibition. In 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act was passed, effectively taxing industrial hemp cultivation into oblivion. The prohibition saw a brief, desperate pause during World War II when the supply of fibers from the Pacific was cut off. The U.S. government's Hemp for Victory campaign urged patriotic farmers to grow it for the war effort. Military demand for parachutes, fire hoses, and marine rope was so high that for a few years, hemp was essential again. However, by 1970, the Controlled Substances Act classified all forms of cannabis, including hemp, as a Schedule I drug. For the next several decades, industrial hemp production in the United States virtually disappeared from the agricultural map. But in the 1990s, a new wave of environmental and industrial activists began to challenge the ban in the courts. Legal battles over hemp-based foods and products slowly began to chip away at the government's outdated stance. The world was waking up to hemp's environmental benefits, its low water usage, and high CO2 absorption. The 2014 Farm Bill finally allowed states to start research pilot programs reintroducing hemp to American soil for study. Through the 2018 Farm Bill, hemp was fully descheduled, becoming a legal agricultural commodity across the nation once again. This led to the massive CBD boom, which made hemp a household name, but its real future is industrial. Modern builders are turning to hempcrete, a carbon-negative material that provides superior insulation and fire resistance. In fashion, hemp is being used to create soft, durable, and sustainable alternatives to synthetic microplastics and heavy cotton. Automotive giants are exploring hemp bioplastics for interior panels and even exterior components to reduce vehicle weight and footprint. Hemp is one of the fastest carbon-capturing crops on Earth, absorbing more CO2 per acre than most commercial forests. It also improves soil health through phytoremediation, cleaning toxins and heavy metals from the earth as it grows. Hemp seeds have returned to our tables as a superfood, rich in omega-3s and all essential amino acids. The plant's biomass can even be converted into biodiesel and ethanol, offering a renewable alternative to fossil fuels. While the U.S. is catching up, nations like China and France have never stopped producing industrial hemp on a massive scale. Looking ahead, we are seeing hemp used in high-tech supercapacitors for energy storage and even aerospace composites. The story of hemp is a story of resilience, a plant that has been loved, banned, and finally rediscovered by humanity. As we face global environmental challenges, hemp offers a sustainable path forward that connects us deeply to our past. If you enjoyed this segment of Time for Hemp, please share us with your friends. Together, we can build a greener future. I'm Casper Leitch. Thank you for tuning into the program. May you always walk in love and dance in laughter.
A fresh start. Hemp pilots rise and soar, a brighter future knocking at our door. Wrap the world in threads of gold. Hemp's a story waiting to be told. the real deal. Here comes the wind, it's blowing our way. Hemp in the air, it's a brand new day. Up we climb on this endless rope. Hemp keeps weaving a world full of hope.